Welcome to Let's Talk Near Death, the podcast show where we talk about life, death, and experiences somewhere in between. My name is Kirsty Salisbury, the host of the show, and I welcome you to join me as I talk to everyday people with not so everyday experiences. You may also wish to join the conversation on the Let's Talk Near Death Facebook page or access additional VIP content as a premium subscriber via Patreon. For just a couple of dollars a month, you can get an early access to episodes, additional bonus content, and your chance to connect with my guests. To do so, simply visit patreon.com/Kirsty Salisbury. Let's talk near death. Welcome back to Let's Talk Near Death. Today I'm joined by Chris Batts. He's a near-death experiencer and also the author of Boom! The Lifetimes of a Suicide Near-Death Experiencer. His story is one of depression and rejection, which led on to how he tried to kill himself through suicide, and then how that one single thing went on to become one of the best things that ever happened to him, because it enabled him to learn how to love himself and to be able to communicate with guardian angels on an ongoing basis. Chris lives in California, and I'm very excited to hear his story firsthand today. Chris, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
So first of all, can I just say it is really great to have you with us today. I know that your story is a little bit of a darker one, that you went through some really awful stuff, but I've been watching from a distance and seen some of the amazing work that you've been doing in the background. So it is really great to have you here. Let's just travel back a little bit. Can you take us back to what was going on in your life when this all happened? What got you to rock bottom, and then tell us a little bit more about your NDE experience?
Okay, so this started when I was a baby. I was 6 months old, and I was thrown in a dumpster by my biological mother. And after that, I grew up in the system, from home to home. Actually, there was a time where every now and then I would see my mom. When she threw me in a dumpster, what ended up happening was one of the neighbors found me in the neighborhood dumpster, and they came out and said, "Hey, I know whose kid this is," because they heard me crying. So, and I was 6 months at the time. So they ended up calling my grandma and saying, "Hey, I have your grandson is with me right now. I found him in a dumpster." So my grandma comes from church, and she took me, and she was a little older in age, and my mom was putting her through a nervous breakdown as it was.
Wow.
So it made her sicker. And they ended up going to court, and my mom lost me to the judge. So my mom was not allowed to see me.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandma would let her see me occasionally when I would visit my grandma on the weekends. So one of these weekends, my mom came to visit, and I asked her pretty much, because I would see her like maybe once or twice a year. So I said, "How come you didn't want me?" And she said, "Well, I threw you in a dumpster when you were 6 months. I didn't want you at the time, and I never have, and I never will." So that's what she said. So after that, that kind of hit me. And I remember I was the age of 4, and I came to a decision after school while eating applesauce. And I was like, you know what? I didn't have any type of direction. The people that I lived with, the adults, didn't care about me. I was just always in my room. So I came to a decision. I'm going to grow up today. I'm going to raise myself. So that's when I'm going to raise myself. So going through life, through school, learning how to socialize with people, learning how to because I wasn't taught anything. So I literally had to learn how to talk to people, how to talk, how to dress, how to walk, what things to say, what things not to say, when to say it. And I ended up, you make a lot of mistakes when you're not taught things. So I basically was depressed a lot. And I didn't really have many friends in elementary school and junior high. I didn't really have a lot of friends until high school. So when I was maybe in the kindergarten all the way up till 8th grade, I was like really depressed, and nobody knew about it. And when I got to high school, I was very popular because I learned a lot of things from the previous years,
Mm.
and so I'm like, okay, I know how to be cool now. So in high school, I wasn't depressed. Kind of like all that went away. So I was about maybe 3 homes later when I was in high school. So after high school was over, it's like now you're in the real world. So that's when depression started coming again. And I liked high school better. And
Mm.
I ended up about at the age of 24. No, at the age of 21, I started saying that I'm going to plan my suicide because I felt depressed and I felt rejected. I felt unwanted. I always had like a low self-esteem about myself, like by how I look. I always would see people that are all buff and their face were just super clean. And I was like, man, I wish that was me. Like, I wish I can look like that.
Mm.
That was like really a self-esteem issue I had with myself. I knew I was a nice person, but I felt like my looks were like, I felt like if I looked better, I would have had way more self-esteem about myself.
Mm.
And so basically, I was just depressed for a long time, thinking about the previous life that I had, the beatings I took from my previous families, the aloneness I had, being locked in my room as a kid, always in my room. That's basically what was causing this depression, is feeling rejected. And it came from 6 months old. I felt rejected then, so I'm like, why would anybody want me now? And
Mm.
I secluded myself at this time. I was planning my suicide. So basically, one day, a friend of mine, when I was 24, I said, what I'm going to do is pretty much I timed the trains on the times they come. So I said, I'm just going to lay down on the track, and boom, just let it kind of take me out. I think about it now. I'm like, what the heck were you thinking?
Mm.
But then it wasn't a second thought. I was just thinking anything to get me out of here.
Oh, wow.
And so what ended up happening was one of these days I was with a friend of mine and we had like this horrible argument. So I left the house and they knew what I was on my way to do because I kind of told them a few days earlier what my plan was. I seen their car pass by when I was walking to the railroad tracks and they're like, get in the car, get in the car. So I got in the car and I'm like, man, like my plan is ruined. Like I can't commit suicide like I wanted to. So I'm stuck here again.
Yeah.
Ironically, as I'm in the car, my mom calls me and says she gets the same day, the same moment I'm playing my suicide. And she tells me, your grandma gave me your number, and I want to tell you that I don't love you and I don't need you to look for me. I don't want you. I never
Oh.
have. I never will.
Oh.
If you have kids, do not claim me as a grandma because they're not mine. Like that's literally what she said. You're nothing to me. You never will be. And so being suicidal anyway, as it was, I'm planning my actual suicide as she's telling me this. It didn't make it any better.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, right. So I ended up saying, okay, well, I'm just gonna. It just happened so fast. She said, I'm not your mom. And as I'm on the phone with her, I said, F you, you never were. And then I rolled down the window and tossed it out. And then I looked at my friend because my friend was driving. My friend was in the driver's seat. I'm in the passenger seat. So I looked at my friend and I'm like, F this. I opened the door and just jumped out. Something after years and years of planning my actual suicide, it happened the exact way I did not plan it. And it
Oh.
happened so fast. So as I jumped out of the car, I felt I had heard this boom in the back of my head. And I thought maybe I just fell on the concrete. That's all I thought. So I got up. I was like, oh, that hurt. So then I got up. And as I was getting up, something kept telling me I wouldn't do that if I were you. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it anyway. Like, I don't know what, maybe I'm tripping. Somebody's talking to me. I don't know who it is. So as soon as I'm literally yanking myself out of my body, I'm thinking I'm just going to walk back home. Literally 3 steps later, I'm in this void. That's when my near death experience happens. So the first thing that happened with this near death experience, I was in this void and I felt God's presence. And when you know it's God, you just know. And like supreme, the uh, source, it's like it's nameless. You can't really say a name, but all I know is you felt that presence. And basically he was like, I love you, and I always have, and I always will. And I'm like, well, hold on, I don't deserve to be here right now. Let me go back. Let me go get perfect. Let me go fix my mistakes, and then I'll come back, see you. And he's
Mm.
all like, no, like I love you how you are right now. I'm like, no, like church taught me a lot different. Because mind you, I grew up in religious churches, and
Okay.
the same religious people were like so mean. They would beat their kids all the time. It was horrible. Like, in anything wrong that you did, they say you're gonna go to hell. You're gonna burn. They say if you were to die right before, so like if you were to make a mistake right before you die, you're gonna go to hell. So basically, that was in my mind. I remember even I seen Bibles and crosses and all the stuff that religion taught me, and I'm thinking I'm gonna burn in hell. So when this being is talking to me, and I know it's God, I'm like, wait a minute, this can't be you. You are angry. I was taught that you don't like me. You hate me. And he's like, no, I love you. Then he shows me like this picture, a video actually, like a movie screen. And here's like some bunch of people, like skateboarder guy. There was like this girl with like this fat doobie in her hand, just smoking it, and like it was crazy. And then like there's like a prostitute girl that passed by. Then there was this professional business guy, like suit and tie. And he's all like, I love all of you the same.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. And he's like, and every single drug addict that's strung out on drugs, I love them the same way I love everybody else. And that was a question that was in my head, because I'm like, he must hate drug addicts. That's always been in my head. But he's like, no, I love them too. I'm like, you
Mm.
do? I was taught you hate them.
Mm.
So then he tells me pretty much don't worry about anything. And I said, well, if I go back, how do you want me to explain you to people? What am I going to tell them? And then he says, I need you to go and tell everyone that I love them. And I was like, that's it? He said, that's it. And then he looked, and I felt him. Then I felt him. I didn't see I didn't see his face or his body. I just felt his presence. I
Mm-hmm.
felt him get on one knee and give me a hug. And then he said, um, I'll go to the end of the world so that everyone is with me. Like, wow, it's like intense stuff. And then,
Mm.
so then he says, do you want to meet your guardian? Oh, I didn't even bring this up. Literally, the first thing that he ever told me when I was in this void was the questions that I was the questions I was asking in my head. He says, yes, I am God. Yes, I am real. Yes, angels are real. They're a gift for me. Want to meet them? And I was
Cool.
like, no, like, I don't believe in angels. I didn't believe in any of that. And I did not believe in angels. I can't believe I'm even saying that right now. But so then he says, are you ready to meet your angels? After he was telling me all this and showing me all these people that he loves, and I'll go to the end of the world and all that. So that's when he's like, okay, well, are you ready to meet them now? And I'm like, okay, poof. Next thing you know, I'm in this midair where I see, it's like this blue type of background, and there was like a big cloud, and then there was another cloud over here with a hole in it. If I were to step into that cloud, I would have, who knows if I would have ever came back. So here's one guardian angel on each side, and they're trying to tell me they were angels. I didn't know they were guardians, but I looked at them, and literally I can see them as I'm looking at you. And they're maybe
Wow.
like 8 foot 6 to 9 feet tall. Uh, this one on my left side was this big creature, like a beetle, and his wings were really wide and thin, and he was more like a beetle creature than anything. He had like a real stern personality. That's when he asked me, "Are you sure you want to go?" And I was like, "I don't know." And like, I'm scared. Get me out of here. So here's this other angel on this side. This one is more human. He looks sort of like a construction worker or something. And he was like ripped. His arms were just bulging out of his shirt, and he had his this red flannel shirt with the sleeves rolled up to his elbows, and blue jeans on and sandals. And I was like, what? this stuff really happens? And he had like this curly hair, and I'm like, whoa. I thought he was gonna kill me like right then. Like, you're out of here, man. But he looked at me and he goes, you have so much to do for so many people.
Yeah.
And I didn't get it at the time. And then they're like, we love you. And they're like, look down. Oh, they're like, we're your guardian angels. I'm like, oh, nice to meet you. You know? And so they're like, okay, look down. So I look down and I see my body. And I'm like, wait. How am I standing right here talking to you, but yet I'm still looking down on my own body? And they're like, look again. No, you need to look at this. So I looked again, and it zoomed in. They zoomed it in like a camera, and I got real close to my body. So I see my body laying here. I see the friend I was with on this side, and I see the paramedics and everything over my body. And I couldn't believe I was literally watching this. I'm like, what are they doing? Why are they trying to revive me? I'm fine. I'm right here. But they're like, yeah, I was. Of course, they don't see me. I thought everybody could see me, but they couldn't. And ironically, this was like right over a church.
Oh, really?
But I decided to jump out of the car. It's right in front of the church.
Yeah.
Like, really? So, so then after that, they asked me, do you want to stay or do you want to go? And I'm like, okay, it's my choice. And they're like, yeah. They're like, this one on this side, you want to stay or you want to go? And he was like stern, man. So I looked at this one because he was nice and stuff. And yeah, so this one on this side said, you have so much to do for so many people. You know, it's up to you, but you have to go. But it's up to you. So I was like, okay, I'll go back. Pretty much they were kind of, this one on, the mean one was like, why aren't you working? Thinking like, why aren't you spiritually working? Like, you have a job to do. Why aren't you working?
Right.
I'm like, I didn't know I was supposed to work.
Yeah.
And he's like, now you do, like, type thing. And after that, that's when I told them I'd go back, and in a snap of a finger, I was back in my body. And I woke up about 2-3 days later in the hospital. And they said I was gone for a few days, and they thought I was gone. And they said I hemorrhaged a lot. I don't know what hemorrhaged means meant then, but they said I did it a lot.
Wow. Wow, far out. It is so good to have you here today. So when you were going through this experience, did you know that you were dead? Because you talked about how you were looking, they were saying, look down at your body, and you were thinking, but I'm fine and I'm here, and you're watching yourself on the ground. What was going through your head? At what point did you know you were dead?
When I saw my body, when I was looking at my body, and I looked at my angel on my right side, and I said, this really does happen? Because I would hear stories about it, and I'm like, oh my God, this really does happen. There is life after death.
Wow. And did you talk about the choice where you could have chosen to stay or to go? How difficult was that?
At that moment, it wasn't difficult. It was easy for me to decide to go back because I need to help a lot of people. There wasn't a question about it.
Okay, so you could see the impact that you going back was going to have on the world.
No, I just listened to my angel. They were so like powerful. I was just like, okay, I'll do it. You know, like I didn't question them. I'm like, okay, you know what? Okay, I'll go back and help people. I'll do it.
Did you feel like they wanted you to go back, even though you had the choice?
Yes, they definitely wanted me to go back.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. You talk about in your book how you now have the ability to communicate with your guardian angels. Tell us a little bit more about that. Has that been ever since this experience happened, and how does that work for you?
Okay, well, I didn't know they were guardian angels until I didn't remember, should I say, until I was out of the hospital. And literally I was being wheelchaired out of the hospital. And I kind of because I couldn't really walk or talk much. So I kind of had to learn that all over again. So I was like, something happened. As soon as I looked in the sky, I looked at the mountain, and then I seen the horizon with the mountain in the sky. And I was like, oh my God, it's beautiful. And the sky was clear. And I'm like, I felt so spiritually like spiritually peaceful. I was like, I had no worry. I felt like I was in heaven or something. And literally like a day later when I was taking a shower, the first, because I still couldn't really talk, and when I would try to say something, my tongue would get stuck to my mouth. Like I had to sort of learn the speech thing again. And so they told me, that's when literally these two angels came back to me and said, empty your mind of everything you've ever known. We're going to teach you what you need to know.
Wow.
From the start, like from scratch, literally, like from talking to walking to, then that progressed from my chakra 7 centers, and from there's so many things that they teach me. They teach me maybe certain things to wear, maybe things not to wear in a certain area. Maybe go this way, don't go that way. Take a detour this way this time. Say this to this person. Don't say this to this person. Don't look at that person too long. They're going to think that you have a problem with them. This person needs help. Go talk to that person. So, or this person needs you to be nice to them. Be nice to them. So they help me in everything. Eat this sandwich. Don't eat this pizza. Like, that's literally how they are.
Amazing. And so you can tap into them at any point. You can have a conversation with them, or do you need to wait for them to come and communicate with you?
No, I don't have to wait for anything. They are always talking. Like, they don't stop. They don't stop.
Yeah.
So your mind is just always running. To balance everyday life, you have a job, you have other things you do, plus your angels are telling you to work. Okay, yeah, do your work. Sometimes I have to tell them, give me a minute. You know, like, I need some time.
And are they okay with that?
They love it. They are so understanding.
Yeah.
Like, basically, I wish everybody in the world had my guardian angels. Like, that's how cool they are.
Yeah. So that brings me to another question, is we all have guardian angels, right? Do you feel like our guardian angels are always communicating with us in the same way that yours are communicating with you?
Yes.
Do you have any insight as to why we perhaps don't hear it, or why we don't acknowledge it, or?
Because we don't have an open mind to it. Like, some people don't know. Like, they even told me this, the first step to actually receiving a message from them is being open to it. How I shut them out sometimes is I don't open my mind to certain things, and I'll say, okay, I'll do this myself. But because I know they'll give me the answers. So it's like a lot of times I actually might open my mind. If I have a question, I'll open my mind up for the answer, but they're not just going to come and force you to sit and listen to them. So some people, they might be right in people's face that don't know they have guardian angels. They might be like, hey, right here, we're trying to talk to you, but you don't even know, and you can't hear it. So they might try to use someone else that can connect with angels to let, hey, can you please tap them and let them know I'm trying to get a hold of them? And that's probably what they've been doing for me for so long.
Right, just couldn't hear it.
Yeah, and I didn't believe in them, so my mind wasn't open to them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But if somebody actually has their mind open to them, they can hear them. They can hear their angels too.
Yeah,
it's not
brilliant.
Just me or any other NDE, or anybody can.
Definitely. You talk about how they're always saying to you, you've got to do your work, and you're talking about a spiritual work.
Yes.
What did you come back with? Did you come back with a feeling that you had a very specific task or something that you had to accomplish?
I learned it because it took time to figure out what it was. Yeah. But I figured it out. It was my YouTube channel. It was going to IANS events. It was, speaking to people, helping people, spreading love to people, giving some people a message that need to hear or know that they're loved, like basically spreading love. That's their main thing for me to do, spreading love, because it needs to be a lot more of that. I'm only one person, so I can only do my share of it, but I'm sure there's many other people that basically have a responsibility. to spread love. So it's more like it's a gift, but at the same time, they look at it like, okay, to whom much is given, much is tested, or much is required.
Yeah.
So, okay, we're going to give you these insights to connect with us and the outer world and stuff like that, but you're going to have to do your part and spread love and tell people about us and tell people about the outer world and the things you learn, you need to tell other people.
What's that like for you? Do you find that people are quite receptive, or do you get some difficult conversations because you've been given this task, do you think? That says it all, right?
Yeah, it's not all love all the time. There's certain comments. Some people might say, you need to get religious because you're being misled by demons. Like, I've got plenty of those before. But
Yeah.
there's also those other people. Oh my God, I can't believe what you went through. Like, why didn't you tell me anything? You know, why did you say anything years ago? So but I can honestly say there's a lot more love than hate.
Oh, good.
Much more love. There's like 95%, 98% love and good reception. And then there's that other 2% that just don't get it or don't want to.
Yeah. So what would you say? Because I think we have this in life as well, whether we've had the NDE experience or whatever's going on for us, circumstances where it feels like people are against us or where people don't agree with what we're doing.
Right.
What gets you through that when you get these negative comments, and considering that you've come from a place where you've had severe rejection from 6 months old, where you've had the depression, you've had the suicide attempt, you know, for a lot of time you've been quite broken. When you get these negative things against you personally, what are some of your strategies for being able to deal with that?
You mean like now?
Yeah. What keeps you going?
Um, honestly, I have a lot of people now. Like, basically, it's like this. I'm so glad you asked me that question. Because before I started doing my YouTube videos, before I started talking, before I even wrote a book, before I did any of that, they were preparing me. They're like, you're going to start with your Facebook posts, posting positive stuff. I'm like, okay, well, I can do that. And they're like, no, that's all you're going to post. I'm like, why? And they're like, because you're going to become a brand. You're going to have a certain thing that people need to see and they're going to get used to when they look at you. I'm like, oh my God. So it was a few months of that. They would tell me stuff to say, and they would say, you need to practice on receiving messages from us before you even think about a book, before you think about a YouTube channel, before any of that. And they were telling me, when you do your YouTube channel, we're going to speak through you. You're not going to write or what do you call it? Like prepare. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, you pre-prepare, I suppose.
Something like that. Yeah. About what you're going to say. We're going to speak through you.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. They're like, no script, no any of that. You're going to press play and you're going to let us talk to you. But before you can do that, you need to be sure that we're the ones you're talking to, not any other outer spirit. So I had to learn the difference between outer spirits and then them. So it's like personality. So if you were to tell me something and then somebody came up to me and they said their name is Kirsty Salisbury, I would say, no, you're not. I just talked to Kirsty. So that's what it is. If an outer spirit might tell me something, I know if it's them or not. So since then, it went from that to the YouTube thing, then from that to the book, and yeah.
You just keep going, do you? Just keep
Keep
going,
going.
knowing
So
that you've
that's
got a mission.
basically, yeah. So basically, I guess my point being was that I'm too deep in it now
Yeah,
to
love it.
stop.
Yeah.
Because there's already people counting on me. There's people that have questions about suicide. There's people, they asked me way before, are you sure you want to do this? Yes, I'm sure.
Definitely.
Like, this is going to be a responsibility. Once you're in it, you're in it.
Yeah. So going back to the hospital, when you came out of the hospital and you looked up into the sky and you realized, or I guess remembered what had happened to you, what was life like from that point on in those early days? So after the hospital, once you got out of
Okay.
hospital
Okay.
and you're remembering that you've had this experience, because not only is your body impacted, right? You've got this very spiritual impact that's happening. So what
Right.
was life like for you straight after your NDE?
Confusion.
Yeah. Did you
I
have any
didn't
fear?
know. Yes. At first it was fear, and then it was anger because I felt I've always wanted to be free spiritually. I've always felt my mind was tied down with Satan and hell and all this other stuff. And I felt like I'm never going to be out of prison. Like my mind's always going to be in jail.
Mm.
After that NDE happened and I was out of the hospital, I noticed a lot of weight that I carried with me wasn't there. But I didn't know what to do or what to believe. So I had actually kept asking for um like proof that what happened really was what happened. And that's when they
Mm.
explained to me, we were there. You ended up leaving your body. When you left your body, that's when you met us. And I'm like, oh, you guys were there. Okay. I guess I can believe you guys.
And your spiritual beliefs have changed a bit since you had this experience?
Completely. Completely. I grew up around religion. After my NDE, I'm not the biggest fan of religion because of
Mm-hmm.
how it confused me, how I see wars going on because of it. This religion says this religion is better than theirs, and the other religion says, no, our religion is right, that religion is wrong. Like, and
Mm.
there's so many religions. And I think that's when I was meeting with God slash source. That's when he was, maybe that was his point to tell me, like, the skater guy, this this prostitute, this person, that person, this religious person, I love all of them the same.
Mm.
That sounds like something God would say,
Mm.
not confusing, like, this religion is the right one, you have to do this and do that and then you can make it to heaven. Like, that just didn't make sense to me.
Mm. I hear this so often with people who've had these near-death experiences where what their beliefs were before the experience, it's almost like that's too restrictive for what they've experienced. What they go on to see and believe is so much bigger that you can't actually put a name or a title or confine it into any system. So really similar to what some other people have shared with me.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about, you talked about your work, you're doing your YouTube channel. Tell us about your YouTube channel, and then I'd love to also hear more about your book.
Okay, my YouTube channel, I call it No Bad Vibes TV.
Oh, I
uh
love that.
yeah, but basically, well, I could put the address, or the channel is No Bad Vibes space 7.
Okay, we'll put that
And
in the link. We'll put a link to that in the
okay.
notes. Yeah.
Okay. And basically how that came about was when I did my, oh my gosh, when I first did my first video, I was like, what am I going to talk about? My angels are like, everything we tell you, you're just going to have to start telling people. Because on a daily basis, they're constantly talking, always. I got tired of keeping this in my head.
Mm.
I was going to go crazy. So I'm like, I need to deal with my regular life, to go to work, to do this, to do that. I can't hold all this stuff. My brain's gonna go crazy. I have to put this on video. It's too much to type in a blog. I have to put it on video and just talk. So that's when I started doing my YouTube videos. That basically, my YouTube channel is more, I spread love and give positive messages that my guardian angels teach, like stuff that they tell me and teach me. But I also speak about them. I speak about what they look like, their characteristics. I have videos on how to communicate with them. Um, I have videos on religion and why I don't really like it, and I teach people about their 7 chakras and how to access them, and it's like I talk about a lot of spiritual things on that channel.
Nice. And then your book, Boom, The Life and Times of a Suicide Near-Death Experiencer. Tell us about
Boom.
that.
Well, this is basically a memoir of everything all in a nutshell, like of what I just talked about.
Uh-huh.
From my birth, I went through times that I went through in my foster homes that I lived at. I talked about how like the beatings I would get. I talked about neighborhoods I lived in to where I was shot at and stuff like that when I was
Wow.
in high school. And I talk about the one of the homes I was living with, how it had so many bed bugs and roaches. I didn't have a bed to sleep in. Would sit on a chair, my feet would be swollen because I couldn't lay down. Like it
Mm.
was. I talk about. Then I talk about, of course, my near-death experience. I talk about life after my near-death experience. Um, I talk about what exactly my angels look like, the things that they tell me. Um, so basically, a lot of things I would talk about on my YouTube channel, I also brought up in my memoir. So that's why it's just called The Life and Times of a Suicide Near-Death Experiencer.
Mm. Love it. I love how you incorporate the lead up to the event and then also what you've learned from that specific event. That's brilliant. If there was one message or one thing that you wanted to share with our listeners from everything you've experienced, everything you know, the conversations you've had, what would be that one thing?
Okay, well, I can honestly say to any general person, the meaning of life is to love, to experience. We're here to experience life. We're meant to cry and, you know, feel pain and celebrate, know what exactly things that we don't know on the other side. Because I really believe, and I heard this in many other experiences, we come from home, paradise, heaven. We come from there. So we don't know what pain is like. We don't know what heartbreak is like. There's certain things we don't know, so we come here to experience it. But we just forget that we came here to experience it.
Mm.
And so I think my message to any general person would be you're here for a reason, and you're here to experience. So celebrate your life. Celebrate. Have a good time, enjoy the experience. Be happy, spread love, receive love, laugh. It's okay to laugh, Um, for a suicidal person, my message would be, since I am a suicide survivor, my message would be to them is that when you think that you're not loved and you're at the end of your rope and you're ready to give up, don't, because it's just then when you're about to give up, you're going to meet someone or realize that there's someone that you haven't even seen that loves you all along. Whether it's source God, whether it's somebody in your home, one of your friends, one of your family, a new random person you might meet. There's someone that loves you. You're never, ever unloved or alone. Like there's always someone who understands you.
I love that. You're never, ever unloved or alone. That is beautiful. Chris Batts, thank you very much for coming on and sharing, telling us everything that you experienced, giving us a little bit of hope, especially for some of our listeners who might be going through a bit of a rough time. And yeah, just really, really glad that you were here to share this message with us. Chris Batts, thank you very much. Thanks for joining me on this episode of the Let's Talk Near Death podcast show. If you've enjoyed it, please share it with your friends, tell people about it. I'd love to get these messages out there. Don't forget you can also pick up your VIP access pass for additional content at patreon.com/Kirsty Salisbury. You can connect with us via the Let's Talk Near Death Facebook page, and I look forward to catching you for another episode soon.